So Lord, we thank you for tonight's meeting and pray you will bless us here in Berks County. And Father, bless the speakers tonight. Father, I pray you open our ears and our eyes and show us what we need to do here with these pensions, and give us ideas and help us to follow through with these in Jesus' name. Thank you, Lord.
Music came back on.
Okay. We thank you, Lord, for blessing tonight. Bless the people that came and the ones that are on the way. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic, which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all.
Let me see. Testing, testing. That seems okay now. Thank you very much, Dave. Folks, I see the weather took a little toll on our attendance tonight, but we certainly want to thank all of you that braved the weather to come. It is a little dangerous out there. Some of the roads, particularly off the main roads, they look open. We have the wind blows through and makes it icy. So please be very careful on your way home tonight. I know I saw a video from Christian Leinbach. He was on old Route 22, looked nice and clear, but 1 second, next second later, you could not see. So be very, very careful going home tonight. Also, folks, we want to thank you very much for those of you that bring food in for our free table in the front. We appreciate it. Thank you again. Oh, by the way, did any of you send your postcards out yesterday? I hope some of you did. Great. Linda and I, we did 5 each, but it didn't do us any good, really. Mailman didn't pick them up till 4 o'clock today. So we'll just have to see how that goes. In case you're wondering, it might be best to keep your coats on. We got here, it was cold. We called Woody, who has the establishment here, and he checked, and the heating system is not running. He called someone. They are sending someone in, but I don't think it's going to do us any good. So Rod said about getting closer for the video later on. You might want to get closer just to have some more body heat from your neighbors. So we'll see how that goes. We already have one delay. Actually, the first person up, he's stuck on Route 78. We hope to have him shortly. So we're going to change the schedule, and we have Helen McMinn. Helen, you're around here somewhere. And Mark, just to let you know, you're going to be up at Helen.
What am I doing?
You're going to be up there for Helen.
Okay, are we singing?
Did you send an email that you wanted to speak about something?
I don't recall having sent an email, but I'm willing to speak.
The NRA.
Oh, yeah, I can do
Okay, Helen.
You're turning down the speaker.
All right, I have a big building, so you can hear me, right? All right. Happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. I wanted to keep you posted because I've been up in the last couple of months talking with you about the march, the Reading Berks March for Life. The Reading Berks March for Life is coming up. It's April 30th at 2 o'clock at the Berks Catholic High School at 2 o'clock. Mark is talking. We have Sarah Ward coming to talk, which is nice. And we have Kathy Barnett speaking too. And then we'll proceed after the rally at 3 o'clock through the streets of Reading, across the bridge, down to the abortion mill, where we'll say a special prayer for the babies and their mothers. And then we'll proceed to Holy Rosary, where buses will pick us up and take us back to Berks Catholic High School, so you won't have to walk back, okay? So I'm really, really looking for my guys and my friends here, my conservative friends, my social issue guys, to be there, to pass the word, because we want a big crowd. This might be our best chance in this year to defund Planned Parenthood. Yes. Okay? Yes. Okay? So we want a large crowd, And so please pass the word. Now, next month when I come, I'll hand out the flyers. Forgot them today, but I'll hand out the flyers. April 30th, 2 o'clock, Berks County High School Auditorium. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you, Helen. Up next is Mark Gillen. As I said, I thought he asked for a few words. Now, does that really go hand in hand? Mark Gillen, few words? Does it really, folks? Okay. I'm only kidding. Whatever Mark says is well worth listening, okay? Here you go, Mark.
Yeah, it makes about as much sense for me to come up here with a few words as Ron Poe is going to have a short introduction. All right. In any event, my pleasure to be here. My wife is back at the table there with a couple of our daughters. Next meeting, I'll be bringing targets. I have it on the schedule. Jim Boyer, his heart has been broken because he only has this small Tomcat drone target. All right, we'll have larger targets for you next month back there. She said bring lots of them. The problem is I bring targets and several of you take 1,000 targets. All right, so let's limit it to 500. There'll be enough targets to go around. So we've ordered some, but we'll have them at the next meeting. I see my good friend David Baldinger over here, and it wasn't that many months ago. We were at the Reading Hospital, and I'm not going to violate HIPAA or anything, but my children and I were over there. We were playing some music.
Items on the screen. Can you zoom in on?
Yeah.
I don't care about
this guy's got a lot of fighting,
something
right?
zooming in for.
Yep, I'll zoom into him.
He's gonna win on the health issues. He's gonna win on the property tax issues, and Pennsylvanians are gonna win on property tax as a large consequence of this gentleman over here.
Amen to that.
All right. You know, I'm shoveling snow, David. I'm shoveling snow. And 4 individuals in the car stop and roll the window down. And you're never going to guess what they wanted to talk to me about. Property tax, right. You know why? There's nothing more sacred than your castle, which, by the way, is one of the reasons we passed a castle doctrine, right? There's nothing more sacred than your home. There's nothing more important to you in terms of what was I supposed to be talking about? Nothing more important in terms of life's most substantive investment than your private, personal property. And nothing means more to my children's future. My daughter is 14 years old. When she was 12 years old, she started asking me how she could own her own home. And in addition to saving money and being wise, we've got to eliminate the property tax so we stop leasing and renting our property from the government. May I say this to my friends in education? All right? This system is going to collapse. Don't think that we're goring the rocks. We are rescuing public education because we are an unsustainable course. And unless we get this property tax system under control, you're going to see a collapse of real estate. You're going to continue to see an exodus from Pennsylvania, and the funding stream for public education is going to dry up. We are here to rescue public education. We're not here to destroy public education. One of the best things you can do for public education is keep people in a home ownership situation instead of rental housing stock, so we have stability in our communities, so these young people, instead of being in a school or a school district for 12 and 18 months at a time, can be there for 12 entire years. We are trying to stabilize education in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And the reason I came up here was to talk about the NRA for 30 seconds. May 12th, we're having our NRA banquet, and you are welcome to come, and I have information on the back table regarding that. Berks Military History Museum, I spoke to the women's veterans of Berks County today. They're going to have a special room. They're going to exhibit Berks Military History Museum. Give me a call. I have cards in the back there. No one's making any money. It's all volunteer, all sweat equity. We'll take you inside a historical building built in 1873, an old carriage and wagon works, an early factory right there in Moton Borough at the gateway to the Moton Memorial Park. Our motto is remembering those who serve. And one of the best ways is to preserve the artifacts and preserve the stories. And that's what we're trying to do in that historical building in Moton Borough. The gateway to Moton Memorial Park, 198 East Wyomissing Avenue. Thank you very much.
Mark, you do know that David's supposed to be speaking tonight?
I heard rumors to that effect.
Well, David, you might not have to come up. Just kidding, just kidding. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Next up. Linda Brancador. Linda Brancador. Linda Brancador. Chris, you're on deck.
I'm not going to talk about the leprechauns this year. If you remember last year, I talked about the leprechauns, and I told you that there was only male leprechauns. So I'm just going to say that tonight. Nothing more about St. Patrick's Day, except Happy St. Patrick's Day. Our next speaker is no stranger to many of us. He has been coming to our meetings for many years. His name is Christopher Winters. Chris is a lifelong resident of Berks County, currently serves as Chief of Staff for State Representative Tom Caltagirone. But tonight, Chris is speaking to us as the president of a new national advocacy organization, the National Children's Cancer Consortium. This organization was formed to develop a new lobbying and advocacy effort at the local government level and state level across the country. Please welcome Chris, and let's hear his message on efforts to beat pediatric cancer. Chris?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christopher Winters. Many of you have known me for years that I've been coming out here. Mrs. Cooper has known me since I was probably a grasshopper, I would say. And unfortunately, I've been involved in this effort with pediatric cancer since I knew Mr. and Mrs. Cooper and their son. Their son was diagnosed with cancer when I was probably 7, Mrs. Cooper, and he fought for 4 years, 3 years. And I swam 100 laps in a relay for life in order to raise money in his name. Nothing's changed. 4 decades later, we're still fighting the same fight. The only difference is that now I'm seeing 1 kid out of 285 being diagnosed. I'm seeing 7 kids a day dying from cancer. And you have to ask yourself why. I'm seeing 1 child every 2 minutes nationwide, worldwide, being diagnosed with cancer. And the reality is that we're dealing with this because we're not addressing the issue. And the issue is that we need to do more research. But knowing the audience I'm speaking in front of, and knowing that I've got some very good friends, and Steve and Christine are very good friends of mine from high school, they're involved with Moment of Peace Adventure. I want to give a shout out to that organization. They do God's work for the kids fighting horrible diseases, including cancer. So thank you both of you for everything you do. But the reality is we're still fighting the same thing. We're still fighting the same fight. And the reality is we're not doing the right thing by these kids. How many of you, by show of hands, know somebody today fighting cancer? Every single hand in this building is going to be up. Every single one of you knows somebody fighting cancer. Here's the scary thing. The scary thing is the numbers among the kids are even higher. The numbers of our children who are fighting this deadly, deadly disease is ridiculous. And what are we doing about it? And the answer is pretty much nothing. We're still treating the kids with the same diseases that we treated Mr. and Mrs. Cooper's son. How sad is that? But tonight I'm talking to you as a father of 2 beautiful little girls, a husband of an incredible wife. I'm sick of watching these kids die. I'm sick of going to funerals. But I'm not going to ask you for a dime. I'm not going to ask you for $1, not a single dollar, because that's not the purpose of me coming tonight. The purpose of me coming tonight is I need something more important. And this organization, and I've seen it over the last couple of years, your voices are more important to me than anything. What we've done is we've launched a new national organization, and the national organization's effort is to go out and combat pediatric cancer at the local government level and the state government level. And in doing that, we need to raise awareness. If you raise awareness, if you realize how bad our children are fighting these diseases, and frankly, folks, you're in Berks County. You want to see something? Go to CHOP, go to Hershey, and look at what these children go through. Go and sit in those rooms and listen to the stories that those parents tell. Let the parents tell you about how they have to worry about one parent working while the other parent is at the hospital. Or worse, as in some cases, you have both parents have to be at work while that child's sitting in a hospital room fighting this disease on its own. Can you imagine? Some of the strongest men and women I know are in this room. Mr. Baldinger is a prime example. He's one of the strongest men I know. All right, and we work very closely with him on his on the property tax issue through our office. But they will tell you, the fight against cancer is brutal. It's brutal. And we're seeing kids that are young as 5 months old fighting cancer. How does a child who's 5 months old get cancer? How does a baby coming out of utero have cancer? How does that happen? And the answer is they don't know why it happens. And the reason they don't know is because we're not doing enough research. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking my friends from the Berks County Patriots to join the fight. As of right now, 4 cents of every dollar goes to pediatric cancer research. Again, remember I promised you, I'm not asking you for your hard-earned money. That's not what I want. I need your voices. And what I'm trying to do is we're trying to get local governments and state governments involved in this fight. Now, again, I realize we all, are concerned about our tax dollars and everything else. I respect that. But some of the initiatives that we've come up with don't require any of your money going to this unless you decide to volunteer it yourself. Let me explain that. We have House Bill 46 in Pennsylvania. House Bill 46 in Pennsylvania establishes a checkoff box on your Pennsylvania income tax return. You can put as little as $5, or you can put as much as you want. If you got a return of $100, and you decide you can put the whole $100 you have into a fund that goes to the 4 institutions in Pennsylvania that are doing pediatric cancer research. We've taken that House Bill 46 and we have transmitted it to every state legislature across the country. Every legislature. Because there are 50 research facilities in this country that do pediatric cancer research. And if we can get every single one of those facilities some sort of funding, this isn't the St. Jude that you see on TV, folks. This is reality. This is every dollar that these research facilities get goes into putting the fight against pediatric cancer. I'm not going to show you a video. I'm not going to give you a sob story about kids fighting cancer, because I can tell you that Steve, Christine, Heather, and I, Coopers, we can tell you a lot of stories. We can tell you a story about Aiden and what Aiden's going through right now fighting HIV, which is the most deadliest form of childhood cancer, because there is no cure. If a child gets a diagnosis of DIPG, don't ask me to give you a scientific name because I will butcher it. But that child has a death warrant on their name. There is no cure. So we need to do more research. But again, we don't need the government doing research. We need the money put into some sort of fund that organizations like the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, Hershey Medical Center, UPMC in Pittsburgh, and the Abramson's Cancer Center in Philadelphia are getting the resources they need to do the research that's needed. Does anybody here know how did Jonas Salk solve the polio epidemic? Does anybody know? He did research, but here was the key. Do you know who he started his research on? Do you know how the vaccine came about? It wasn't on us as adults. It was on the kids. Because the cure for polio started with the children, because in that timeline, the children were put in front of the adults. Because children Children aren't making decisions to get cancer. They're not eating red meat, folks. They're not smoking cigars or cigarettes. They're not drinking alcohol. We hear from us adults that get cancer, and my wife is a cancer survivor. None of that. These kids haven't touched any of that. They've not made those decisions. Their lives are being affected and turned upside down by a cancer that is a ravenous disease that is uncontrollable. On the way here tonight, I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional, but on the way here tonight, we have a very special little girl named Haley. Haley is in Maine. We absolutely love Haley. I call her Haley the Happy Hero. She is one of the strongest little young ladies I've ever met. She just got told today that her leukemia is back for the 3rd day. So, the chemo wipes out her blood, makes her sick, causes her body to fail, causes her to lose her hair. She's fought that fight twice, and now she's got it for a 3rd time, and she's going to fight it again. And I can tell you story after story after story. Folks, here in Berks County, this is epidemic. It's an epidemic in Berks County. There is a, pick up the Ready Eagle anytime in the last 6 months, and look at the amount of kids in Berks County who are being diagnosed with a form of cancer. It doesn't matter whether you are rich, it doesn't matter if you are poor, it doesn't matter if you are black, white, Hispanic, it does not matter. It's an indiscriminate disease that just kills our children. And we have a population of approaching 400,000 people in Berks County, and the cancer rate among our kids is one of the highest in the country. That's not a rumor or an innuendo fact, folks, that's fact. That's why my boss is pushing these numbers of bills. And again, we're not after tax dollars to put into research. We're asking Pennsylvania citizens to use their heart and decide if they want to contribute to these 4 institutions that are our institutions in Pennsylvania. These are our facilities. These facilities are paying, take care of a lot of us here in this room, probably know people who have gone to those hospitals. I can sit here and I can tell you story after story. I can tell you the trips to the hospital. I can tell you the kids that I've seen and the stories of what their families go through. But the long and short of it is this. The only way that we're going to beat cancer is by getting research done. And we have to do that research with the children first. Because you know what? They're our future. I've made my decisions. I've made my mistakes in my life. I've paid my prices. These kids, they haven't even lived yet. They've only started. Aiden just started his life, and he's fighting for his life every second of the day. Aiden's story is an incredible story because that young man, he just keeps fighting, keeps fighting. And I sat here in a room full of people. What do you figure? 700, 800,000 people were here that night? 800 people were here that night. And you see the passion in that young man's face, despite knowing in his head that he's fighting a losing battle. Because he isn't lost. In the end, when he wins, he's going to get to go to heaven. And he'll be free of the pain and he'll be free of the discomfort. But until then, he's living his life, which is what I tell my own daughters, which I bet Mark will tell you he tells his daughters. Folks, I'm asking you for your help. This is what we're trying to do. We want to turn Pennsylvania gold. We are working as a joint effort nationwide. We want to have September declared Childhood Cancer Awareness Month across the entire country. That means all 499 school districts in Pennsylvania, we want them to declare and have their children involved in efforts of knowing what these kids go through. We've already started it in 22 other states. I need your help. We want to have our local governments get involved because these families, they don't just get affected by what goes on in the microcosm of their home. They also get affected by what goes on around them. Because I can tell you, I've been on the other end of that phone call when I've got a phone call from a mother or a father saying, I can't pay my mortgage because the insurance company said, you know, it's either pay my mortgage or pay for my chemo for my son. I'm telling you. Oh, and by the way, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to get me in trouble, and guess what? Any of you who know me know I really don't care about getting in trouble, because I tell you the way it is. Please, 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 be very smart. If you want to contribute into fights against cancer, be very smart on how you fight and who you give your money to. If you want to support families, give it to organizations like Moment of Peace Adventures, or give it to the Four Diamonds Fund from Hershey. Do not give it to the American Cancer Society, LLS, or any of those organizations, because I will tell you, they don't benefit these families. Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Cooper, and I were having a conversation a couple months ago. Remember that conversation? We both were heavily involved in relay efforts growing up because of her son. And I will tell you that I know for a fact that that money that we raised wasn't going to the Coopers. It went into a fund that was then went to pay other people's salaries that from somewhere around here. Berks County folks, they raised $1 million in the Relay for Life efforts last year. Does anybody have any percentage how much of that stayed in Berks County? Just take a guess, please. How much? No. Zero. You just heard me right. Zero. They'll tell you it is, but I can tell you story after story of children who needed car rides to Hershey. My wife will tell you the story of me driving from Harrisburg in our Harrisburg office back to Reading to pick up a child, to take them to Hershey, to go back to Harrisburg, to leave Harrisburg, go back and pick up that family in Hershey, drive them back to Reading, and then go back to Harrisburg when we were in session during the summer night. Because American Cancer Society told them they were going to pick them up and get them. I'm not asking you to pat me on the back, I'm telling you the truth. I want you to sit here and understand that in this fight against cancer, you need to make sure your money is going to somebody that is effective and efficient. Put your money somewhere where it's going to help. Go to Moment of Peace Adventure and let them help a family. Because the incredible work that they do is a perfect example of outreach and taking care of families' needs. Jeffrey Musser Foundation down in the Lebanon, Lancaster area is another gentleman. He started the organization in memory of his child that he lost. He routinely cuts checks to help people pay for their funds, for their medicine, or for their rent, or for utilities, or stuff of that nature. So please do your research. And if you want to get involved and you want to know how you can help, I will have my business cards in the back. My wife and I will sit here with our daughters, and we will be more than happy to take your name and number, your email. We will provide you with whatever information we can, but we're asking you. We're calling it the war on the poor. We're asking you to come and join us. I had told them that I would take the last 5 minutes to open it up for any questions. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this, and so is my boss. But we're now taking it to another level because something's got to change. Because frankly, I'm tired of going to children's union, and there's entirely too many of them in this state right now because of cancer. And you have to ask yourself why. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
How is the government going to help?
That's a really good question. The answer is the government's not going to help. That's why we have to figure out a way to get funding together to put into a research fund that goes straight to the institutions that are doing the research. There is no middleman then. You're not relying on the federal government to say, or either bureaucrats in Harrisburg, which again, I admit, I am one, I work in the state, but you're not relying on somebody like me, you're not relying on a politician to make that decision, you're relying on the people who are actually doing the research and administrating those funds at the research institution to do the job that we need to do. It's more effective and efficient to pay directly to the researchers than it is to go through a middleman. The middle, right now, the government is the middleman. We're trying to change that and make it not be the middleman. The local government's failure is that they could be partners in the fight for our kids, you know, and we all see, and please know, I have, my wife has family members and everybody else that have fought breast cancer. We all know October's the month of pink. We're just trying to make a month of gold because our kids are just as important as our mothers and wives and daughters. Yes?
Question. You mentioned Relay for Life was a good organization to donate to. And what was the other organization you mentioned for?
No, it was, actually, I would advise you not to give to the Relay for Life. My advice would be to give to the Four Diamonds Fund. Can you help me with the name of Thomas?
building.
Right. So CHOP, Children's Hospital, we call it CHOP, Children's Hospital Philadelphia is another organization you can get to. They also do help families with retirement. Yes, sir.
You mentioned about Berks County having a high incidence of this disease. Is there any knowledge or reason why Berks County is that?
Well, that's a very good question, and I appreciate that. The really funny thing about it is I had to go through a right to know request, and I'm sitting here as a chief of staff or a state representative, and I had to file a right to know request to get information from my own state government regarding the numbers and incidents with pediatric cancer. Here's another little thing that I didn't tell you, and this is going to really tick you off. At what age do you stop being a child? 18, right? Do you know what the federal government decides that age is? 15. So any child in Berks County or in anywhere in Pennsylvania that's diagnosed with some sort of leukemia, which is prevalent from the age of 15 on, is not considered a child. They're considered an adult by the federal government. You know why? Does anybody know why that happens? This isn't a conspiracy, it's reality. Because it helps your stats. Because now you can say your cure rate is at 80%. Your cure rate isn't 80%. If you've got more kids being diagnosed at the age of 15 to 19, they're still children. Okay? They're 11. In 4 years, they're going to be 15 years old. That doesn't mean they're going to stop being my little girls. They're going to be my little girls until they get up and decide what they want to do with their lives and move out. And they'll still be my children. That's right.
I'd like to see some money go for research on environmental issues. You know, we have so much no-till farming now. We use so much herbicides. I think that's a big contributor, and it's in the water, and everybody's drinking it.
And you bring up another excellent point, because one of the things that we're seeing is, when I say to you that it doesn't hold any bounds, there is no boundaries. Because I have a young lady. How old is that child right now? He's 8 years old, right? The newly diagnosed from the city of Reading. We have a young man right now fighting cancer from the city of Reading. How is he connected to our little friend Hannah from the Governor Mifflin area? Or for all those who remember Lainey Brown from West Reading. I mean, I was Lainey Brown's family spokesperson when she passed away. It was an honor and privilege to serve in that role. But it really changed my life. It changed our lives, and now we as a family are fighting this fight. We've been lucky. Our kids have been healthy. But we fight because of what we've seen in these kids. It's like Aiden. We call them superheroes, because they are. They're some of the most incredible people you will ever meet, because their heart and spirit never ends. Yes?
One more question.
Yes?
Don't you think it's odd that we have chemtrails? And I think that since they changed the rules of being 15 as an adult, doesn't that put two and two together a little? It seems odd that it's just having around here. If you look up every day, what you see, they're not streams.
Well, I won't try to sound like an environmentalist, because I am not. I will tell you that I am a hunting and fishing man. I go out, my kids hunt and fish with me all the time. I will tell you that I've gone into some of the best streams in this county. And there are days when I've gone in there and I've decided not to fish that stream, because I go in there and I see a skim on top of it, and I know that that skim is not a natural skim. So I'm getting the flag here, but the answer to your question is I think there's a lot of environmental problems. I think there's a lot of environmental problems, and I don't know, we don't have the answer. But I'm asking you to join the fight. I'm asking you to use your voices. This organization is one of the strongest voice organizations I know. If you can help us, and you can help these kids, we can make a big difference and start turning the tide. But the answer to cancer is not going to be treating the adults with more chemo. The answer to cancer is we have got to come up with better treatments and better cures for the kids. Because if we get the kids taken care of, then we can treat the adults. Thank you so much for your time. God bless. Steve, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Chris,
Quick question, please.
real quick. Personally, thank you for your passion, your dedication towards childhood cancer, and for recognizing Moment of Peace Adventures. We take these sick children now on hunting and fishing adventures. I won't get into that tonight because it's not the right format. But again, thank you for recognizing us. And I think a question for everyone here, is there a list skeptical that the donations might not stay in Berks County or the state, or how much of it goes to real research.
There is actually multiple sites out there, but the best one in the world is called GuideStar. GuideStar, please, if you don't know what it is, go look it up. You can get a free account. It's www.guidestar.com. I think I'll verify that. I'll make sure that we give the information to the organization. You can literally go up and look at a 990, which is the IRS tax return for nonprofits. And by the way, that's any nonprofit. And you can find out where your money goes and where your dollars that you are contributing to benefit people go to. It is something you should educate yourself with. You should do the research. And I will tell you, it will alarm you when you find out where your dollars. That is why we started, when we did it, and to answer, go back to this lovely woman's question, that was why Representative Calderon wanted to set up a fund in such a way that it never goes through a middleman. It goes directly to the research hospitals or the research facilities doing the job against the battle against pediatric cancer. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being so attentive. And I will be here for a little while if anybody has any questions. Or if you want to help the effort, we'll take names and phone numbers and please join the fight in the war on porn. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much, Chris. Are you going to stay to the end of the meeting or not? Okay, great. Folks, you can talk to Chris at the end of the meeting as well. Up next, we have Tom Campione. Most of you probably know Tom. He's been out of meetings many times. He spoke here as well. Tom is the chairman of the Lehigh Valley Tea Party. Fantastic group. If you get an opportunity to go on, I think it's the first Thursday of each month, please do so. Outstanding. Tom is actually going to be talking to you about he'll be talking to and asking for our help regarding HB 38, which is a national reciprocity act pertaining to concealed carry. Won't want to take any more thunder, so I'll just have Tom come up, folks. Let's welcome Tom Campione.
Thanks, guys. Good. So I apologize, but we were held up on Route 78. It was at a complete standstill for about 25 minutes. But what we were hoping to do was to have passed out some flyers. But as I understand, before the night's over, we're going to get to doing that. I guess the first thing is to ask a question. I'd like to see a show of hands, and that is, do you believe that you have the right to self-defense? Yes or no? Yes, hands up if you think you do. Okay, that's great. We're all pretty much in agreement that we do. Second question, do you think that right applies only when you are in Pennsylvania? Yes or no? I'm going to guess most hands are going to be no, it's not only in Pennsylvania. And you would be correct. It actually sounds like a ridiculous question. Yet, if you have in Pennsylvania a license to carry firearms, you cannot take that firearm across the border into New Jersey, New York, not in Connecticut, not to Rhode Island, not to Massachusetts, not into Maryland. So basically what's happening is your right to self-defense today ends at the border. And that obviously is not right. That's if you have a license to carry firearms. Well, how about a marriage license? Is that recognized across the entire country? Yes, it is. In fact, even a gay marriage license in any state must be recognized in all states. Your driver's license, Pennsylvania issued, must be recognized in all states. But your license to carry firearms, no. So, what fixes that? National reciprocity fixes that. That is a bill that is currently in the House. This is a federal bill, obviously. And what it would do would be to require states, if they offer a concealed carry process, doesn't necessarily mean that they are a shall issue, but if they have a process, like New Jersey has a process for applying for a license, doesn't mean you're going to get one, but they have a process. If they have a process for concealed carry, they must recognize the license of all other states. What we're going to be passing around is a flyer. The flyer, at the bottom of the flyer, is a web page. And what it asks you to do is to go online to this web page. If you do that, and the page is PA4SP/HR38. So who's PA4SP? That's Pennsylvanians for Self-Protection. It's a statewide, Pennsylvania only, statewide Second Amendment group. I have to be the legislative director for that organization as well. It's based in Doylestown, but it is a Second Amendment group only. And we are actually promoting this federal legislation out of that particular group. So it's going to that group's website, /HR38, that takes you to an online page. You fill out your name and address. That's it, name, address, email, and phone number. And what it then does is it faxes a request to support H.R. 38 to your congressman and to both U.S. senators. We're also passing around a flyer for a state bill. That's House Bill 167, disparity of force. Most people think that we have stand your ground laws in this state, and we kind of do, but they really only apply in your home and in your vehicle. That's our Castle Doctrine. If you are not in your home or not in your vehicle, you cannot stand your ground. By law, you are required to retreat. So if you're in a parking lot and there are 3 large males approaching you and you're certain that you're about to be beaten and robbed, you cannot lawfully draw your firearm unless they display a lethal weapon. That's the way it is right now. They must display a lethal weapon. If they do not, you may be in fear of your life, but if they do not display a lethal weapon, you do not have the legal right to draw and fire. This bill gives you that right. It fixes the Castle Doctrine, and when you fill out the application online, it gets emails to your House rep, all of the Judiciary Committee, and the Senate. I know Rep. Gillen has actually co-sponsored this bill. This is HB 167, Rick Saccone's bill, and a few other. Knowles has as well, and John Zbiak had, but the others need to co-sponsor. So when you get the flyers, if you would, please go home and make sure that you go online, fill out the application, and click submit. Thank you very much.
5 minutes goes real quick, doesn't it? Actually, at 6. Hey, you're going to stay around, correct? Okay, you can speak to Tom in the back. Bruce and maybe one other person, there's the 2 flyers he was talking about. Would you mind passing those out so people have them? Folks, our next speaker is Dave Baldinger. I know everybody in this room has to know Dave. Dave is actually, well, before I get to Dave, I got to say something about his wife. Wherever Dave is, his lovely wife, Janice, is always close by. And she's here with us tonight in the front row. Hi, Janice. Just wanted to say hi to you. David is actually the founding father of school property tax elimination. David is the general. He's the one that basically gives the marching orders. In addition to that, David is the administrator of PTCC, Pennsylvania Taxpayers Cyber Coalition, which is a coalition of about 80-plus groups, of which the Berks County Patriots are one of those groups. Before David comes out, I want to just mention one other thing to David and the rest of you. Last year, a woman called me. Actually, she called Senator Schleich's office, and she wanted an update on school property tax. So the senator gave her my number. She gave me a call. We had a nice chat. I gave her an update, and I told her to keep the faith. So that was that. So 2 weeks ago, she called me again. And she was hoping that I would tell her that she didn't have to pay school property taxes. Well, unfortunately, I had to tell her, that we are working on it, and she would have to pay it. I do have a point here. She told me I can give her information, but I'm not going to. I'll just tell you that she's 75. She lives in a condo. She lives alone. She pays over $5,000 in school property taxes, and she is struggling. Also, she appealed her assessment recently, and it was reduced from, I think it was $218,000 to $178,000. And now I'm getting to my point. She was successful. She is now paying less school property tax. And I know she feels very good about that. However, what she may not know is that her neighbors and everybody else in the school district are paying for her reduction. Everybody else is paying for it. That's why this is an antiquated system. That's why this system must be abolished. And that's why we have David Baldinger here tonight. We have Ron Rolls in the back tonight. We have Dean Klopp in the back tonight. Between them and Jim Rocky, this will get done. Let's all welcome David Baldinger. One second. David, 1 second. I got to put David on the spot. I said that I was going to call that woman on Monday. If I give you her telephone number, would you mind calling her? Fantastic. Better for the general. What's that? Yeah, Dean's in the back. Dean and Ron. Stand up. Dean, Ron, stand up. Okay?
I'd like to get you two up here. Okay. Come on, guys. Dean Pop and Ron Bolts, part of the Brain Trust, and I don't know what I'd do without them. Thanks for the nice compliment, Sam. Without these guys, I'd be lost. Along with Jim Rocky, who I guess didn't make it tonight, huh? I would like to give you really good news tonight, and I can. Although the Property Tax Independence Act is alive and well and will be considered again during this legislative session. We're continuously discussing and planning how to proceed, are we not? When did we meet? Tuesday night? Yeah, Monday night, I have a long meeting. Monday night to come up with a plan. We're constantly working on it, so never fear, we're going to get this done. The November election was really good to us. And we picked up supporters in both the House and the Senate. Now, we haven't finished looking at the House votes yet because there's just too many new people there this time. But the Senate count is promising, and we must continue to encourage our previous supporters. Remember from December 2015, we had a 25-25 vote. That won't do. If we're going to win this, we've got to do 26-24. So we've got to keep after the people who were with us in 2015, make sure they stay with us. It's going to be rough, and I'm going to tell you why in a little while. I can do that. How's that? Let me see here. Okay, on the Senate side, the language has not been changed from last session's SB 76. Same bill. We have a solid, effective piece of legislation, and although there are those politicians who would like to tinker with the bill for political purposes, we're not going to let them do it. And for those of you who don't know about this bill, this is unique in Harrisburg politics. Politicians didn't write it, we did. It's a grassroots bill
written outside of the Capitol and taken on by Representative Jim Cox and Senator Dave Arnold, introduced in the Senate and the House. But it's our legislation, we control it, it runs when we say it runs, and they don't change it without our permission. I'm really proud of that, and you should be too. Okay, we issued the co-sponsorship memo. Dr. David Argall issued the co-sponsorship memo on January 5th. It has 8 prime sponsors, same as last year, 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats. The senators are Argall, Fuller, Schwank, Udichak, Scabello, Wagner, Boscola, and Dinniman. What does that say? 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats?
Bipartisan.
Bipartisan, absolutely, because we wrote the bill, and there's nothing partisan in it. We make sure of that. Our job now is to encourage more senators to co-sponsor SB 76 so we can be certain of a solid majority for a vote. That's your job. Get on the phone, call them every day if you have to, and tell them you support them, that you want this bill to go through, that you want their vote, and let them know you're not going to give up on them. I think what the senators are most scared of right now, hold on, I'll get to it. On the House side, the language of HB 76 is not going to be any different than the last session's bill either. And again, as with the Senate, we have a solid piece of legislation that needs no changes. We haven't been pushing quite as hard on the House side, because for the moment the Senate is the easier lift, and if we can get the Senate, we're probably going to win the House, or at least have a better chance at it. You're shaking your head. Jim Cox will be issuing a co-sponsorship memo in the near future. Now when this happens, we're going to need your help again in encouraging representatives to join us, add their names to the bill, and become supporters. In Berks County, we don't have a problem. Every senator, every House member is on the bill. But nothing prevents you from making phone calls across county lines, isn't it? We've had several meetings with House Majority Leader Dave Reed, his Chief of Staff, and his attorney concerning our ideas for how the legislation should be moved through the House. They're in agreement with our plans and also offered a few useful suggestions on how to possibly improve the process. Leader Reed is solidly with us in our efforts to enact HB 76, which is a lot different from Mike Terzai. And somebody asked me tonight, what about Mike Terzai, even though Leader Reed is with us? I got to give it to Dave Reed. I haven't seen anybody in leadership in the House in a long time like Dave Reed. He doesn't care about Mike Terzai. Terzai might be the speaker, but Dave Reed is going to do what he's going to do. And he is solidly in our corner. He says he will help us in any way possible. This is a huge advantage for us, and we're grateful to Representative Reed for his help. Soon after taking office, Governor Wolf stated that he did not support elimination and attempted his partial release plan, which failed. We know that. Later he changed his mind and said he supported elimination, but it had to be partially funded with, as he said, local skin in the game. Meaning a local income tax, a local sales tax, or a local per capita tax. He immediately knew that this was a dumb idea, but it took him a little bit more time to figure out that scheme wouldn't work. He has now admitted that the plan was a fiscal impossibility, and he has abandoned that idea too. So you ready for this? Governor Wolf has now said he is ready to support the Property Tax Independence Act, although he may want some minor adjustments. We'll see about that. But the fact that he said, is that it? He's ready to support it?
Very close.
Now you've got to figure what this means. If he comes out in favor of the bill, that's going to draw, what, 40, 50, maybe 60 votes on the Democrat side of the House. This bill's going to win. Now we have to push the governor to do what he said he's going to do. Our biggest problem right now, and this is where I go off script and ad lib, because I'm so irritated by this. And any of you who have known me for any time or know me when I'm still working will understand the phrase, why don't you tell us I agree with you today? It's why to do that. Extreme opposition we're having from the ill-informed education complex, school boards and administration. And we are not enemies of teachers, and we are not bashing teachers. I want to make that clear right away. We have no problem with teachers. They have a job to do, they get paid for it, and that's it. Administration and school boards are a different matter entirely. Have any of you seen the stuff that they're running in the paper lately? School boards fighting against the bill, and They are being ordered to do so by PASBO and PSBA. PASBO is the Pennsylvania State, I'm going to do this wrong, Pennsylvania State, say again? Business Division, right, and PSBA is the Pennsylvania School Board Association. They have been issuing all sorts of nasty letters to the school boards in Pennsylvania telling them what to do to fight the bill. And they're coming out with resolutions saying that the politicians should not vote for it, they're trying to turn the public against it. They're really being nasty about it, and we've got to fight back. They're saying some really awful stuff about the bill, and the worst part of it is they send out talking points, but don't understand what's behind them. They question them. As an example, they have what they call circuit riders, who go around and give talks about the bill, trying to turn people negative on it. They had one in York County, in York Suburban School District. The circuit rider gave a 35-minute talk. Senator Mike Fulmer was invited to give a rebuttal. They allowed him 7 minutes. Any questions from the audience were written only, and one man at the very end stood up and tried to get a verbal question in, and they shut down the meeting. Showed how much discussion they wanted this and where they're coming from. What it comes down to is one thing. This is not about all the excuses we're giving, and I cheat them. These are all excuses from the PSBA.
Dave, that was Elder, by the way, the guy in the end, Elder Killer, your own Elder Killer, tried to ask some questions.
They shut down the meeting. We have got to do what we can to shut them down and get the truth out. We're not, and where did I start? I started the meeting, but I don't remember where was the one that was going on. Like I said, I'm not living. PSCA and PASBO. It's interesting. These are both organizations that are financed by dues paid by your school district. Yeah, I heard somebody say yes. What's interesting about this is they're being paid with your tax dollars to fight a bill that we're trying to get through. Now, to really make it worse, they've been joined by the PSEA, the teachers union. So the teachers union is working with people that are supposed to be fighting for you to try to kill this bill. We cannot let them do it, and we've got to fight against them. I have a final thing to read to you. Let's see. Here we go. Bottom line, the PSBA, self-serving, untruthful. They have no real point to this, no real reason to want to not do this except for the fact that they're greedy. They don't want to lose the opportunity to tax you out of your home. And that's exactly what this bill will do. It will end the ability of them to levy property taxes anymore, and that's why they're fighting this. Bottom line, they're urging their members to contact senators to oppose the bill. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Contact the senators, tell them you will stand behind them if they support this bill, and make sure you can keep them moving behind this bill. We may have already lost one senator because of the PSBA. We don't want to lose anymore. I'm asking you tonight, please, call your senators frequently and let them know you stand behind them and you support the bill. Sorry I wouldn't have been more coherent tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. David will be here at the end of the meeting. Obviously, we have Ron Bolts, and we have Dean Klopp here as well. So please talk with them. Okay, folks.